Hey, fellow cinephiles, buckle up because we are diving deep into the 2017 horror hit IT.
Oh man, we're talking chills, thrills, and you know what? This movie even sneaks in some heartwarming moments.
It really does. You guys gave us so much to unpack about the Stephen King classic, and, well, let's just say get ready to float with us down into the sewers of Derry.
You know, that's what I love about this movie right off the bat. It just throws you into this town today. You can practically feel the rain like it's never going to stop, and there's this underlying sense of dread.
And that rain.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, almost like its own character adding to the whole creepy vibe. And speaking of creepy,
Oh, yeah.
we got to talk about that opening scene with Georgie.
Oh my God.
Classic horror movie moment, the paper boat sailing down the gutter.
Every time.
And then it's
Coming
not-
out right into the storm drain. Like, who hasn't imagined what lurks down there?
Exactly. And in this case, it's Pennywise the Dancing Clown. And let me tell you, Bill Skarsgård. He just nails this unsettling mix of playful and terrifying. What do you think of his performance?
Oh, he's phenomenal, those eyes. Like, looking into them, you can't tell if he's going to give you a balloon or, drag you into the sewer. Skarsgård's brilliant, the way he moves his voice. It's all so freaking creepy.
Absolutely. Okay, before we get totally sucked in by Pennywise,
Yeah.
let's introduce the humans, right? The Losers Club. We've got Bill still reeling from Georgie's disappearance.
Heartbreaking.
Richie, the trash-talking jokester, but, deep down a good guy.
Classic Richie.
Bev, the tough girl, with a lot going on beneath the surface and the rest of the gang. And that's what I love about this movie. Every loser gets their moment.
Oh, for sure.
We see their struggles, their fears, and it makes them so much more than just your average horror movie tropes.
And that's what makes IT more than just a monster flick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got Pennywise, but it's also about the horrors of childhood. Like, take Henry Bowers, for example. He's terrifying. A bully who represents the very real fear of violence that some kids face every day.
Right. IT isn't just about jump scares. It's about those real-life fears that we all had growing up.
Exactly.
The awkwardness of being a kid, the bullies, those anxieties, they're amplified and then thrown into this terrifying supernatural situation.
And the movie doesn't shy away from those tough topics, like when Beverly's in the bathroom,
Oh, man.
covered in blood. That scene is just, it gets you on a visceral level.
It really does. And it makes you think about how home isn't always a safe place, especially
know.
for kids going through tough times.
And that's where the film excels, right? Creating this atmosphere of unease. It's not just the jump scares, though there are plenty, but it's the way they use those lingering shots,
Yeah.
The sound design or even the lack of sound and the shadows.
Oh, yeah. They really know how to build that tension slowly.
Exactly. It all works together to just get under your skin.
Chilling. And I think that is what makes IT stick with you. It's more than just cheap thrills it gets in your head.
Mm.
But it's not all darkness. At its core, IT is also about the power of friendship. These kids, the losers, they find strength in each other, and they learn to face their fears head on.
It's about courage. Like that scene at the quarry, it's a powerful reminder that even when things are bleak, friendship and courage can make all the difference. They remind us what they're fighting for, their bond, their innocence. It's really heartwarming.
Totally. And speaking of that bond, the movie does an incredible job of showcasing just how close these kids are.
You really believe they would face down anything together, even a creepy clown like Pennywise.
Totally. And there's this one scene that really gets me. It's when they're all hanging out in Ben's room looking at his research on Derry.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just being kids, goofing off. And for a second, you forget about all the horror.
Right.
And you just see this pure, genuine friendship. And that's what makes the scary parts hit even harder because you're so invested in these characters.
Exactly. It's like the filmmakers lull you into this false sense of security with those heartwarming moments, and then bam, the terror comes back full force.
Speaking of terror, we got to talk about Pennywise's lair in the sewers.
Oh, God.
It's like this nightmare funhouse where childhood fears come to life.
It's pure nightmare fuel. Especially that scene where they first go into the house on Neibolt Street.
Oh, yeah?
Each room is like tailored to their worst fears. And the way they use practical effects.
Yes, the practical effect.
It's so much creepier than CGI. Don't get me wrong. CGI can be scary. But there's something about the tangibility of practical effects.
Totally. It just gets under your skin.
Yeah.
And, plays into that whole idea of fear being a construct of the mind.
Right.
Pennywise feeds on fear. It's what makes him powerful.
Yeah.
But when the losers finally face him as a group,
They're not afraid anymore.
exactly, their lack of fear diminishes his power. It's like a metaphor for overcoming your own personal demons, wouldn't you say?
100%. The film reminds us that sometimes the best way to conquer our fears is to confront them head on.
And it's not like everything is sunshine and rainbows after that.
Yeah.
You can tell that these events, these encounters with Pennywise have left their mark.
Oh, yeah. Trauma, it sticks with you. The movie doesn't shy away from that. It acknowledges that healing takes time.
And ending with the blood oath, it's hopeful, but also haunting. Because, deep down, that evil never really dies.
It's just waiting for the right moment to come back.
Okay, so we've talked themes and scares, but let's get into the filmmaking itself. Were there any specific directorial choices that you thought were particularly effective?
Oh, absolutely. The use of color, for one thing. The way the director using red Georgie's raincoat, the balloons, Beverly's bathroom.
Oh, wow, I never even made that connection.
It's like this visual motif that represents blood and fear.
And it's so subtle, you don't even realize it's working on you until you really think about it. It's those little details that elevate the film. And it's amazing how much this film has already impacted pop culture, even though it only came out a few years ago.
Totally. Like Stranger Things, for example, you can see its influence all over that show.
The small town setting, the group of kids fighting supernatural forces, even the music.
It's clearly an inspiration.
Yeah.
And it shows how much IT resonated with people. It tapped into something universal.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's what makes IT more than just a horror film.
Mm.
It's about friendship, courage, facing your fears.
Mm.
And it's all wrapped up in this terrifying and ultimately really moving story.
And you can't forget the laughs. It's surprisingly funny at times, too.
Okay, before we float away like Georgie's paper boat, there's one thing we haven't touched on yet. We've talked about how the losers are afraid, but what about us, the audience? Was there a particular Pennywise scare that really got you?
Oh, man, there were a few. That scene in the library with the projector coming to life,
Ugh.
the way Pennywise seems to just leap off the screen and into the real world just messed me up.
So good, right.
Yeah.
Like that primal fear of something ordinary becoming something monstrous.
Exactly.
For me, it was that scene in the abandoned house when the walls start bleeding.
Oh, God, yeah.
It comes out of nowhere, and it's so disturbing. And it plays into that idea that evil can pop up anywhere.
It's true. And the film is brilliant at blurring those lines between what's real and what's not.
Right. You're constantly kept guessing, and that just adds to the whole experience.
Oh, for sure.
And that's the mark of a great horror movie, right? It sticks with you long after it's over.
Absolutely. You're left thinking about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And IT does that so well. It's not just the scares, but those characters, those themes, that feeling of nostalgia for childhood summers. It all just stays with you. What are your lasting thoughts on the film?
At the end of the day, it's a story about confronting your fears. It's a powerful reminder that fear is real, but it can be overcome.
Well said. And that's something we can all take away from IT, no matter how you feel about clowns or sewers or horror movies in general. And there you have it, folks, our deep dive into the depths of IT. We've explored the scares, the laughs, and everything in between. If you enjoyed this terrifying trip down memory lane, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite horror flicks. Until next time, happy viewing, and remember, sometimes what you don't see is scarier than what you do.